Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is James Maiden, and I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year. Today is the first day of the year. It is March 20th, and I just wanted to reach out a helping hand of hope. And, I don't want anybody's year to go as crummy as a lot of people's years went last year. So I'm gonna reach out and offer to you, my friends, a Hallpass to skip all the drama and have a great year. I offer you guys a manly Hallpass, a manly P Hallpass. That's what this is. And if you're joining me now, this is an ASMR extravaganza. So I was going to say, if you're just joining me, this is going to be an extravaganza of New Year spectacles. And we are reading The Ways of the Lonely Ones by Manly P. Hall. Maybe turn that down a notch and see. Turn it down from 11 to 10. That's always nice. So if you're just joining us, you're reading The Ways of the Lonely Ones by Manly P. Hall. And we were on page 18. I'll go back to 17 where we're talking about this picture. It says, just as the youth was drawing the arrow to its head, a hand was laid upon his arm. The young hunter started. The arrow slipped from between his nervous fingers, and he turned in amazement to gaze into the face of a strange being. As he turned, his amazement grew, for such a figure few men have seen. The face bore the marks of great age. And the snowy rocks were wider far than the mountain tops which had existed since the beginning. The figure was that of an old man. Draped from head to foot in a cowl of gray cloth. In his hand he carried a great wooden staff cut from the limb of a dead tree. His eyes, however, were the wonder of the picture. Too kindly, twinkling eyes that registered even the faintest shade of emotion, one moment gleaming with the joy and life of youth, the next dimmed by the tears of sorrow, gazed into the face of the hunter. The hermit laid one hand lightly upon his shoulder, and the kindly face held only soft rebuke. You, began the youth. Are you not the old man in the mountain? The stranger nodded his head, and a voice mellowed by years of goodness answered softly and kindly. Yes, I am the hermit who lives in these hills. But why do you shoot my stag? Your stag? Exclaimed the boy hunter. How comes it that you own this beast? In this world, the other answered, proper use is the sole warrant for ownership, and those who use God's creatures well have the first claim upon them. The old man held out his hand to the stag, and the beast, though viewing the hunter askance, came slowly across the little clearing and rubbed its nose against the friendly hand. Putting his arm round the neck of the stag, the hermit spoke to it in soft musical tones. Just a few sighing sounds the old man made, but the animal seemed to understand. Its soft nose was turned upward, and its eyes looked at him with a tenderness of expression which moved even the hunter. The hermit turned to the youth. Do you still dispute my ownership? He asked. Do you still doubt that he is mine and I am his? What were the words you used? Asked the youth in surprise. How did you talk to him? I spoke the words of the forest and the trees, he answered. That is his language. He hears the voice of fear in the crackling of the twigs and the stealthy footsteps of the hunter. He hears life and love in the voice of the waterfall and the soft swaying of leafy branches. These are the sounds of his language. And during these many years in the mountain, I have learned to talk with the tongue of the beast and the bird. Yes, I have even learned to talk with the trees and the flowers who hear my voice and shelter me with their love and their protection. Listen. The old man breathed out a soft, stirring sound, like the breath of dawn in the treetops. And from the surrounding shrubs and brush came an answer. The same soft, stirring sound, and voices seemed to whisper. They all know me. They all love me. For I have lived here 80 years, and never have I injured one of God's creatures. When I want food, they bring it to me from their store. The squirrels bring me nuts from their harvest, while the trees give me of their fruit, and with their own dried leaves form a shelter which protects me in the chill of the winter. You have come into these hills as the spirit of man oftentimes comes into the world to hate and to slay. Not that you really hate. Inwardly, you do not loathe the beasts. But To you, their souls mean no more than a drop of water from yonder stream. But I have learned to look with love upon even the drops of water, for each one has its message. I have lived up here so long that the trees and birds and flowers are all one with me in spirit. I love them all, and they truly love me. Come, young hunter, lay down your bow aside for a while, for to me and to the eyes of my children of the forest, that weapon means hate and death. You need not fear. Leave it here, and I will bring it back to you. And I will bring you back for it anon. Laying down his bow and quiver and taking the hand held out to him, the youth accompanied the old man into the depths of the great green forest, now wrapped in evening shades. Massive trunks rose up about them, and falling leaves descended like gentle rain upon them as they passed. Suddenly, the old man stopped. Look, he said, from the base of a tall tree, a big gray squirrel came and stood pertly, gazing saucily for a few seconds and then vanished like a flash of a dusty shadow to reappear a second later, carrying in its mouth a ripe hazelnut. Scampering down the rough trunk, he climbed up the hermit's gray robe, and as the old man opened his mouth, the dexterous animal placed the hazelnut in it. Then, hopping upon the old man's shoulder, he sat there, his little beady eyes darting, first in one direction and then in another. The hermit took the nut from his mouth and held it out to the hunter. See how they care for me, but no more tenderly than I have cared for them. He spoke a few words to the squirrel, which darted away like some little sprite into the darkness of the gathering night. The squirrel had barely vanished when the youth suddenly jumped back in fear and amazement. Before them on the road stood a great wolf. A menacing snarl issued from the beast. He does not know you, the old man explained. Whenever he sees men, they throw something at him. Whenever he meets them, he expects the feathered messengers of torture and death that fly from their bows. Therefore, he hates them even as they hate him. But come, you are perfectly safe. Then, stepping up to the wolf and bending slightly, he placed his hand between the beast's teeth. The animal drew back its head and licked the kindly hand. Yes, continued the hermit, has its price. If you essayed this fate, your hand would be the forfeit, and probably your life. But what have you done to the wild creatures that they should so love you? I have been true to them. In the cold winter nights, I have sheltered their young in my little cabin. I have fed the babies that the hunters left parentless, and in the spring I have released them. Many years ago, a hunter climbed these hills and slew the sire of this wolf. Another destroyed its mother, and three little whelps, three howling, fighting, spitting handfuls of flesh were left to my care. I nourished them and guarded them, and they played with my mountain lions and romped about with the bear cubs that I have in my cabin. The springtime came and they went their way, strong enough to protect themselves. This is one of them. The other two, perhaps, we shall see also, unless the hunters have slain them. Thank you, Eve Sauce, for saying that I'm a literally gifted reader with tons of dramatic expression. I appreciate that. And for everyone that's just joining me, this is Happy New Year, the first day of the year, and I am reading The Ways of the Lonely Ones. And this is your today's Manly P. Hallpass. Hold on 1 second. Phone call. I'll be right back. Hey everyone, sorry about that. Let's see, where were we at? Got a little, oh, thanks, Eve Sauce. Enjoying it. I've got some company here, so I'm gonna have to say hi real quick. As soon as they get over here. What a beautiful day, though. What a very beautiful day it is. Hello, how's it going? Very good, very good. I'm reading a little Manly P. Hall, The Ways of the Lonely Ones. Happy New Year. Yeah. I'm live on my channel. I'm just doing a Manly P. Hall Pass for New Year's. Yeah. What are you guys up to? I, oh no. The house poisoned you? Oh shoot, that sucks. The only other time they've seen poisoning like that was in a cop that had been exposed to a meth lab. Holy smokes. Yeah. That's no good. The whole house is contaminated. Oh, F. Sounds like the seller's realtor knew. So you have recourse? Probably not. That sounds like a lawsuit. Yeah. So they used enough to make the house toxic, and they didn't have to disclose it unless they were manufactured. Wow, so that's terrible. A bit of a gap in there where a lawyer might be able to squeeze us through. Like, I talked to somebody today that said the realtor knew that the house was, in fact, was in that condition, and they sold it to us anyway. That's criminal. Tell that realtor that I hope somebody is as careless with her life as she was with mine. Yeah, dang. That's criminal.
It is.
That's criminal to have that knowledge of something being toxic and not disclosing it as a realtor.
It's like selling a gun to somebody and you know they're gonna go kill somebody with it.
Selling somebody a gun that you know is going to blow up in their face.
Or yeah, it's defective.
You know? Yeah.
Selling somebody a drug and you know that they're gonna go overdose on it. Selling somebody a car with no brakes. It's just detestable behavior.
That sucks.
So,
It's a tough one to prove.
Yeah.
They cleaned, they put paint on the walls, they cried.
What are you guys going to do?
we got a lawyer who's looking over the paperwork, looking for a gap they can squeeze us through.
It's not,
Are you staying there?
We're about to buy a 53-foot semi truck container.
Trash it.
That's
Tear it down to the walls or to the. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you don't contaminate your clothes and your. Oh, man, that's terrible.
Getting contaminated.
That sucks.
Yeah. I had no idea it was that toxic, that bad.
That's crazy.
That's what we've been doing.
Well, shoot. I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks.
It's tough. It's tough to be nice,
I'm glad you figured out what was making you sick, though.
right?
Yeah. So that ends. That's not cool.
That was not cool. So we'll see how it plays out. And if the whole thing turns into nothing and they're just like, sorry, we can't do anything, I will fully make everyone aware of who the realtor was.
Who was a realtor?
I can't remember her name right now. Something white. I'll dig her up. And I'll blast her in public. And I'll make sure I do it in a way that doesn't get me in an actionable position. So like if she's gonna sell toxic houses to people, the public should know.
Absolutely.
And if there isn't a settlement, the public will know. And if there is a settlement, the public will know.
Good.
That's crap.
That's crap. Shoot, I'm sorry about that.
You know, I go back and forth between being angry, being sad, feeling hurt, and then just accepting and moving on.
Well,
Cheers.
yeah, cheers. I'll be here tomorrow. If you guys want to come by or something, say hi after like 1 o'clock. I'll be here. 21st is tomorrow. Solstice with the mostest. Bye. It's nice to see you. Happy New Year. Oh. Hey, everybody. Oh, I had a friend who came by. Let me turn off the effect. Buddy of mine, he has been getting really sick and couldn't figure out why. They just bought a new house. Well, it's an old house. They bought a house and moved into it, and he was getting sick because it was either a meth lab or it was they just used so much drugs in there that it made him sick. His body was shutting down, and apparently the realtor knew about it and didn't disclose it because from what he says is that there's a gray area on whether or not it's illegal to sell a house that's been contaminated like that. If it was used for manufacture, they have to disclose it. And if it was just drug use in the house, then apparently they don't, but that sounds awful. Terrible. Yeah, seriously, go kick the realtor's ass. That freaking sucks, huh? Well, yeah, maybe I should finish up this chapter of the Ways of the Lonely Ones. Unless you guys want to jump on. Either way, I'm cool. Maybe I'll just try to finish this up a little bit. So where were we? They proceeded. Oh, mellow. I had to clear my throat. They proceeded farther along the path of nature's miracles. The great stag walked behind them as he arched his antlers, brushing the tree branches as he passed. Now look here, the old man spoke, pointing to the crotch of a tree just a short distance ahead. In that nest are 4 birdlings. In that nest are 4 birdlings. Yesterday, an arrow found its mark. There was a flutter of wings, and with a note of agony, the mother bird fell on the ground. There was a great whir of wings, and with a sharp cry of rage, the father bird flew straight into the face of the hunter. Another wicked shaft, and he, too, was laid low without even a fighting chance. Now hear the clamor in the tree. The old man climbed upon the broken stump, and from a fork in the dead pine, he drew forth a nest. Its tiny occupants, with their featherless bodies and gaping beaks, crying loudly, mew, 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 meep, meep, peep, peep. I shall take these too with me to my cabin, and drop by drop I shall feed them as long ago I learned to do. Their mother and father are gone, slain by one of my race. But among the beasts and birds, I have tried to redeem my people and prove to them that a generous spirit still dwells in the heart of man. His hand gently cuddled the tiny birds in their nest, and with caressing sounds, he sought to quiet them. In a few moments, the cries from the nest ceased, and sheltered by the old man's love, the hungry birdlings were stilled until he could not procure food. In a few moments, the cries from the nest ceased, and sheltered by the old man's love, the hungry birdlings were stilled until he could procure food. The youth marveled at the sight, for he had never supposed that among the world of men there could be one who so loved dumb creatures. The old hermit pointed to a narrow ravine. That opened before them, and there the hunter saw the peaked roof of a small cabin surrounded by little fir trees and with a chimney made of old tile. Though a quaint, picturesque building of poorly matched logs, this simple structure was enthroned in the midst of a realm more beautiful than words can describe. The valley far below spread out beneath the rolling hills, though it ran a stream. Through it ran a stream, while in the background rose the peaks of the snow-capped mountains. This indeed was a home in the heart of nature. About the house could be seen a number of animals. A baby wildcat rolled in the sunlight, and an old bear lay asleep with his nose between his paws. his tail just a tiny stump that wriggled mechanically as he seemed to sense in his sleep the presence of his friend. Birds were roosting in the neighboring trees, and within a dozen feet of the dwelling were 20 birds' nests. For it seemed the creatures of the air liked to come and build their homes around the cabin door. The old man invited the youth in. They entered and sat upon the sawed-off ends of logs, which served as seats. The cabin was bare of furnishings, and save a rough straw pallet, in its solitary ornament was an ivory crucifix which hung upon the wall. The room was filled with birds and squirrels, and the young hunter was moved with astonishment when he saw that a small hummingbird had built its nest in the arms of the crucifix. Looking about for stove or food, he saw no sign of either. "So, is this your home?" he murmured. "This is where the old man of the mountain lives?" "Yes," the hermit answered. "And here he has lived since the day when he realized his brother, man, to be false, and the beast to be true. In all the world of men, never did I find a friend half so faithful, half so true as these wild creatures of the hills. When I look back at the sorrows of my life, and tears come to my eyes, my little birds gather around me and sing their love songs into my ears. When I am tired, the great stag comes and bends his back that I may ride upon him. When I am hungry, from the mountain and caves come birds and beasts with food. I have given up on the world. I've given up the world of human affairs to serve the things which man abuses, the things to which he has been false. These birds, these little creatures that play around my door, even the wolves, the foxes, and the mountain lions, they are my brothers, and I their father and elder brother. I ease the wounds made by heartless hunters, and the animals know that while I live in these hills, they have one friend in the world of men who will never be untrue. All the time that I have dwelt here, I have never spoken one harsh word to either beast or bird, and they serve me with perfect faith and perfect trust. A strange emotion filled the breast of the hunter. "No more will I hunt," he cried, "for I have seen the life and the love and light in the souls of these beasts. I also will be true to them." "That is well," said the old man slowly, and he extended his hand. "Brother, I am proud that you have seen the light, which someday shall take from the world the karmic curse that rests upon all who slay their brothers. But night is falling in the mountains. In the air, I hear the cries of the bears and the lions. I hear the piteous wails of the dying, and I must go my way. So I will now take you back again to where I met you. I am an old man, and I have not much longer to stay here. But when I am gone, will you be true to the beasts whom I have loved and guarded, and who have loved me so well in return?" "Yes," answered the youth with vehemence. To me, also, the world has ever been an empty place, and I will fill that emptiness with the same thing which you have filled yours. If you are called, I promise that I will come and live in your little hut and go about as you do, serving the beasts. The hermit stood for a few seconds, dimly visible in his soft gray gown, while the youth, guided by the light of the waning moon, descended the widening path to the world that lay below. What a great story, you guys. That was the end of part one. Eve Sauce, you're in Germany. Very cool. It's nice to be reading bedtime stories to people on the other side of our realm. I do definitely enjoy this part of the internet. Right now, we got the sun. Sun is going down. It's getting to be twilight. Let's see how much is left of part two. I think that we can finish this up. It's only a couple more pages. So we are on page 26 of The Ways of the Lonely Ones by Manly P. Hall. Happy New Year and welcome. This here is your Manly Palmer Hallpass. Don't lose it. You might be wandering around for a while, bumping into walls and getting in trouble if you don't have your Hallpass. So please, tuck it in your pocket or hang it from the chain around your neck, and don't lose your Manly P. Hallpass. It'll get you there. Part 2, page 26. Hello, I, Loren. Welcome to the show. We're reading Manly Palmer Hall, The Ways of the Lonely Ones. We're in the first chapter called Nature's Homage. This is part 2. 4 years passed before the youth again went up into the mountains. 4 years of sunshine and rain. 4 years that changed the affairs of men, but left the mountains just the same. Save that the tightening band of civilization had ever crowded in closer and closer. The green grass, the lofty pines, and the wide expanse of glistening snow apparently had not changed at all. As the sun rose one morning, a strange scene confronted the eyes of the residents of those hills and valleys. Over the mountain there hung a great gray cloud with a million twisting, ever-changing convolutions. The whole atmosphere was hushed and still. A leaden silence hung over the face of nature. Hunters and trappers whispered that never before in all the years they had lived among the hills had they witnessed such an awesome sight. As the day wore on, the dark cloud deepened. A low moan broke out of the heavens, a sound that rose and fell with the passing of the wind. Like the sigh of the dying, each tree seemed to pick it up and to carry its echoes onward through the leaves and branches. Every shrub and bush seemed to bow its head, while the arms of the lofty pines drooped inert in the steely light. From the rocks there issued a muffled groan. Boulders and masses of earth become thundering avalanches, while the snow upon the crest turned gray. Everything seemed to hang in suspense during nature's agitation. That day, the youth was impelled again to climb the mountain, widening in and out along the narrow path and following intuitional guidance. He reached the point at length where the valley began and the mountain peaks parted. There among the rocks, half hidden by the overhanging darkness, stood the little cabin as he had seen it before. But now all seemed changed. He shrank back in wonderment, for out of the mountains, out of the very earth itself, out of the skies and out of the river that flowed by the door, a great stream was coming, a stream of living creatures, stately stags and meek-eyed does, accompanied by their young, moved through the forest in silent majesty. Great lumbering bears came also, not one but many. The air was filled with the droning of the flying birds, and even the steely light was darkened by the multitude of wings. From the forest came the wolves and foxes. In the little pool by the cabin door, varicolored fish gathered, swimming to and fro in sudden numbers that the water seemed one living mass. Then it seemed that the heads of the pine trees were bowed, their branches bent low, and from the mountaintops a great cloud of leaves and fine pine needles fell like the patter of rain upon the cabin. All nature was united in a strange, sad song. The very earth itself seemed to join in the solemn dirge. With mingled wonder and fear, the youth crept up to the cabin door and gazed within. There, on his pallet of straw, lay the still form of the old man of the mountain, his hands folded upon his breast, his white beard spread upon his cowl, his eyes closed in one last long sleep. Without entering, the youth knew the tragic truth. The hermit was dead. At the foot of the rough wooden pallet stood the great arching antlered stag, his head depressed so that his nose rested on the edge of the couch. In the hollow of the old man's arms sat the gray squirrel, trying to force a hazelnut between the cold, white lips. Uttering shrill cries, little birds circled around his head. And like some menacing watchdog, the great wolf lay before the body of the one he loved. The soft scent of the forest came in through the open door, for the door of the old cabin was never closed. Baby birds in their forest nests called for the hand which could feed them no more. Tears flowed down the youth's face as he gazed. Nature's children knew they had lost their truest friend. In a world that taunted them, one alone had loved them. In a world that hated and thoughtlessly robbed them of their right to live, they had found one who understood them. And now the cold finger of death had closed his eyes, and the chilly voice of the mountain peaks had whispered in his ear. To whom could they turn now when their friend was dead? No longer would there be a sweet voice to assuage the wounds inflicted by the rude hand of the huntsman. The beasts seemed to know this and were sad. For a few seconds, the youth stood motionless, unable to take his eyes from the scene. A great something welled up in his soul, and he remembered the promise he had made. His promise to be true to those bird and feathered friends. He passed slowly through the cabin door. The great wolf looked at him, but did not move. Just a low howl, like a groan of desperation, broke from the throat of the beast. As he touched the still form of the hermit, the squirrel raised his eyes, beady, bright eyes like sparks of fire, and two tiny paws reached out to cover the face of the master he had loved. The youth stroked the creature as in a mute gesture of protection. It stretched its own tiny body upon that of the dead, biting his lip to check the pain of his soul. The hunter of the days gone by stepped to the door of the cabin and looked out. He started back in sheer amazement. Such a sight as met his gaze had never before confronted man, nor probably ever will again. In every direction, as far as the eye could reach, in the mountains and valleys, were teeming with life. It seemed as though every denizen of the wilds had gathered in solemn conclave. Over the mountains, the heavy gray clouds rumbled and moaned, and lurid flashes of lightning rent the ethereal depths. With the pathos of an inconsolable grief, the rain was falling in a gentle patter upon the leaves, and the youth, looking at the form of the couch, murmured, "Indeed, blessed are the dead, that the rain reigneth upon." A voice within him spoke, saying, "When was such homage ever paid to a living man? When did emperor or king have such a noble cortege as this? Many noble ladies and distinguished men march in the funeral trains of the great. Many there are who come and pay respects to a nation's dead, oftentimes with indifference. But each creature that stands in this great cortege is true to the soul of its being. Here there is no sham, no pretense. Each one of these beasts in its very soul adores the one to whom it pays homage. Each of these little bird and feathered folk would gladly die for that one. Each tree and stone would give of its fleeting life the fullest and the utmost. When man has a friend among the beasts and the birds, that man is good. for there is no guile in their lives, no subtleness in their adoration. Overcome, the youth sank upon his knees and gazed out at that endless stream of dumb creatures whose sorrowing eyes, lowered heads, and drooping bodies expressed the emotions of their souls. The great trees, even the blades of grass, bent their heads for the one who had loved them. All had gone forever. This was my task, murmured the youth, and I will fulfill it. What greater testimonial of the depth of the hermit's sincerity than that such a circle of affection should attend him? I will return to the valley no more, and I will stay and serve these beasts and birds as did the old man of the mountains. Though the shades of night fell over the mountains, they were alight that night with a million fires upon a million sacrificial altars. In the eyes of the silent watchers, stretching in the endless rows, gleamed like coals of fire in the darkness. Next morning, when the sun rose, a new hermit was living in the mountains. Under a cross of rocks, the body of the older hermit had been laid to rest, while his spirit interceded before a greater throne for the beasts that he had loved. The gray cowl was worn by another. The great staff now strengthened another's hand. So as the years sped by, in his love for nature, the one who once had slain now nursed the wounds that he had made. The birds and the beasts learned to know him also, and soon they gathered around his door to whisper their secrets and confide their love. Some there were who gradually forgot the friend who had gone, but loved him anew in the one he had awakened. Down in the village, none knew what had happened. They did not realize that the hermit of the pines was dead, for still his gray cowled figure wandered among the hills. They still were wont to say, "How is it that man should be willing to live with the beasts?" The old hermit had known the secret. The younger one was fast learning it. And so, as the legend says, to this day in the heart of those hills, there lives an insane old man, broken by some earthly sorrow, who has given up the benefits of human affection to live in the mountains like a beast. They laugh about him in the village at the base of the mountains, and they lay wagers as to who shall find his bones. But at the same time, they tell you of that wonderful day years ago when the mountains grew dark and the beasts flocked together and the great miracle took place in the hills. That story will never die. You know, they tell you of the thunder and of the lightning. The superstitious cross themselves, and they say that the Spirit of God himself walked the hills that day. They never know, nor will they ever know, that this was nature's homage. Nature's only way of showing its reverence and its love for the old hermit in the gray cowl, who lived in a little cabin where the valley meets the hills. And that's the end of Nature's Homage. And if you guys have just joined, we are reading The Ways of the Lonely Ones by Manly P. Hall. And this is your Manly Palmer Hallpass. Happy New Year. Happy solstice, everyone. I think the kids are down for a nap, yes. Probably need to feed them before we go live on Weaving Spiders Welcome. Well, let me turn the effect off there. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I'm not sure who's listening, but if you guys want to jump in here and hang out for a minute, I'm game. I think I've kind of read enough for right now. I'm gonna give my vocal cords a little break on the reading. It sure is fun though. I was really getting into it. I'm gonna have to practice doing the voices for the next one. Hey, Snake, are you ready to jump on? Or he's feeding the rabbits and the birds. What a great story. There were some parts I really liked. I think, let's see. I forget. There was some beautiful language in there, though. And what a fitting story to read on this summer solstice. Is it the summer solstice? Is that what we're doing? Oh, it's a spring equinox. Equinox. It's not summer. It's spring. You can hear the beautiful sounds of the creek pretty well over here too. So is everybody having a good evening out there in the chat? Anything anything new? I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy today. I finished up a gate, sort of, that I was working on, at least the fence part and the gate, I guess. But it's I'm gonna put a cover over it. It's a chain link fence gate, and I'm gonna put some wood over it to finish it. But pretty nice. It makes my backyard secure for little goats running around and not getting out. Well, this is my side yard, but it is not secure right now. I'm gonna have to put up some electric fence, I believe, and get that going. Let's see. I'm gonna send a link out to my friend Jonathan Bacone. Oops, that's not the link. There's the link. Do a click, a copy, and a click. And I gotta send an email real quick. Wow, I can feel nature's homage out here. Earlier, I was sitting here and there are these Canada geese that they just hang out here, and they're so used to me that they just fly right on up and wander around here, you know, an arm's reach away. It's I feel honored. I feel honored that they poop their little goose poops in my yard. And they're pretty sweet little animals. Animals. Let's see. So anyway, let me see if well, it's a beautiful night out here. I'm trying to decide if I should stay outside for Weaving Spiders Welcome. Um, I'm not sure if anybody's still listening, but how's the audio? Am I coming in loud and clear, or do I have too much volume, or is the crick too loud? How is my audio? Oh, and for you guys that were curious, I had a friend stop by, and he came by earlier when I was reading, and he has been really sick lately. If he thought that he caught the beer bottle sniffles, from the halo flies, but it just never got better, and he just was feeling achy and feeling worse and feeling crappy and really just lame. And he ended up going to the doctor and saying, "Hey, doc, this this beach beer bottle bug is not cool. Like, what's going on?" And the doctor gave him some tests. He gave him some blood work, and he was like having kidney shut down or liver shut down. It was his liver. Like crap. You'll die from that, like he didn't know what was causing it. And I was real worried about him. And I haven't seen him for probably 3 weeks. He was gonna come over a few times, and he was just too sick. And finally he came over today, and him and his lady just bought a house, and they have been so excited about it. They've been house shopping for a year and looking at stuff, showing me pictures and everything, and super exciting, super great. It's sort of out there, and they've got property and enough for a little farm of their own, and some animals. But it turns out that their house was making them sick. Very terrible. Here, let me send another Zoom link to my friend here. Yeah. All right, I just sent Jonathan Pacone. We'll see if this works. It's getting to be very beautiful out. Yes, Snake. Are you going to be joining as well? I had meant to go on to Leaving Spiders, I guess, when we go live. This is just sort of a preliminary visit, just because I brought all the equipment out here and it's such a beautiful night. It's warm down here by the fire. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's see. What was I saying? Telling me I have to sign and never did that before. Now, well, I think I'm gonna log out and kill the stream, and we will shoot for going live on Weaving Spiders Welcome for an unofficial Weaving Spiders Welcome episode, and hopefully David Barsky can join us, and hopefully the rest of the crew can slide on in here. Greg Bucifus. He said he can be here in about 20, 30 minutes or so. And that sounds good. Sounds good with me too. Yeah, sounds good. So I gotta go do a couple things. I gotta go feed my kiddos, and I think we will be another 20, 25 minutes or so on Weaving Spiders Welcome. And we'll do our evening show Saturday night. The spring equinox. Equinox that'll knock off your socks. So anyway, thank you all for joining. I'm gonna read the rest of that book here on this channel. So keep your push that little ding dong button, because it's the best way to know that I'm doing this. And I will see you guys all in about 25, 30 minutes on Weaving Spiders Welcome on channel Weaving Spiders Welcome. Thanks a lot. And bye-bye.